everyone, welcome to the Airball podcast, a House of Handles production. Today we want to cover a couple things. So obviously last time we spoke a bit about the draft, but today we want to start by talking about some of the off-season movement that we've been seeing so far with some of the teams, trade-wise. Towards the end of the episode we'll definitely be covering some of the contracts that we've been seeing as well. And we'll also do a bit of a review of the draft and what are our biggest winners and losers. So, look, I guess diving into our first topic, guys. The Knicks, they obviously traded for Mikal Bridges. We've got Kiv in his Knicks jersey here today. I think it's fitting. You probably opened the floor, man.
Nova Knicks.
Ooh. Yeah, Nova Knicks.
Yeah. Nova Knicks. I feel like this was on the cards since the playoffs ended.
Yeah.
I think this was as close as you can get to tampering without tampering. These boys are on a group chat together and they pretty much orchestrated this. So let's go through the trade. So the Knicks trade with the Nets. Mm-hmm. We've got an almighty 5 first-round picks. We've got 4 of the Knicks. We've got 1 from the Bucks. We've got a pick swap, which by the time that eventuates, that'll probably be swapped by 30 different teams, as you do with pick swaps now. And they threw a second rounder in there from memory. Now, all this is for one player. Mm-hmm. Does this make us title favourites?
I mean, you got to consider that OG. It's pretty exciting too.
We did, yes. You got to throw in that too.
That's
so,
huge.
I mean, I think that was already on the cards. I think they knew they were going to do that. They made the trade, and once it finished, they wrapped it up with OG. We'll talk a little bit more about OG later. My initial thoughts for the Knicks, this is terrific. We've modelled a team that can beat the Boston Celtics, or at least match up with the Celtics, right? Because like for like, we are better defensively, I think, each spot. Mm-hmm. We've got enough to cover Brunson. I don't know the Randall angle. Hasn't played all postseason. We still have him on the roster. Not sure what happens there. Like, I believe the Knicks do win this trade, short term, obviously. Mm-hmm. Out of all the picks, I know we gave up a ton of first rounders. I think there's only really 2 to worry about, which are the later 2 picks, I think 28 and 30. We've been here before. We've done this before. We've given a lot of picks away before, and it's all blown up in our face before. So as a Knicks fan, I'm ready for everything. In saying that, if we do manage to win some playoff games and get to the finals, I've never experienced that. So, that's new ground, and I would love that more than anything in the world. So, I'm a fan. I have my doubts. I'll throw it to you guys. What are your thoughts from the Knicks' point of view? Do we like it? Do we not like it?
As a fan of seeing what the Knicks did this year, and just a fan of the NBA in general, I think the Nova Knicks fully coming together was something to be really excited about.
Dude, this is like cinema, dude. It's like you make this up in your like college dreams or whatever.
It's like your 2K build.
This is a 2K build. This is like playing with all your high school friends again.
All your guys. The chemistry is going to be insane.
Yeah.
But even fit wise, like I think it makes a lot of sense to put players who can play off the ball around Brunson, because you want the ball in Brunson's hands. And I think Mikal, we mentioned it slightly, but he's like the perfect role player. Like he can slot into any team. He can put the ball on the floor. He's certainly not a first option, and he proved that on the Nets. I think he's not the type of guy you want running.
That's not like his best role.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he's an amazing second to third option, fourth option on the floor, and I think that's the role for him on the Knicks. And he can be a creator. He can obviously make tough shots. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I might be a little biased, but I still believe there is another level to Bridges.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like there was glimpses of like him, running the offense a little bit, getting shots, being a volume sort of scorer in Phoenix when he had a good team around him. Obviously, he wasn't required to do those things in Phoenix, and then everyone expected that when he moved to the Nets. But you can all relate. When you've been on a bad team and nothing's really going, head office really isn't helping you, players aren't great, you sort of switch off.
Situation is everything.
100%.
Yeah.
And
that was such a bad situation to be conducive to being the guy. Like, having a guy like Cam Thomas just hoist shots. Like, why would you even want to try and get the ball? Like, the moment it touches his hand, it's going up.
You just kind of know you're kind of like not going anywhere. Like, your team just stuck in mediocrity.
Team, right?
Yeah.
I still think he's got a step that he can take. For me, the key swing in this whole trade is going to be how Randall adjusts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Brunson's your first option. Randall will probably walk in and go, I'm the second option, and Bridges will probably walk in and do the same thing. So it's a matter of what happens there, how they manage all that, how they get that together, and then the Hartenstein re-signing or cover, because I mean, Mitch Rob was not going to last at a Senator 82 games. We need a backup. We don't have that. Potential OG playing backup at the moment.
Really?
Because Precious is also...
Is he a free agent?
He's
a free agent.
Re-signed as well, so we don't really have a backup center on the roster. Things to button up. I don't believe Randall will get traded. I think this will be the roster. I think that we'll find a center.
I'm actually pretty happy with like Randall staying on this type of team. Like it's really perfect for I think the way he plays to have that like. I remember back in the Pelicans when he started kind of like coming up as a player. That like, you know, he just does that head down drive and it just chucks it out for a kick out. Perfect right now. Like with Mikal Bridges, this knowing how to run that route from the corner down the base. Like I'm really keen to see that. Like Mikal was really good at knowing when to cut, knowing when to space the floor. Like
I think Mikal is like he will be very happy to take that third option. I think he's an easy guy to please. Like I don't think he's going to come in and demand that he wants more touches than Randall, and I don't think that's ever going to happen anyway. I think he's far more comfortable doing that third option and being that kick out sort of player. The thing with Randall, though, and you alluded to it on what he does on the Pelicans, but I think he does that on the Knicks too, and I just don't want him to ruin the flow of the offense. I think they played so well around Brunson running the offense, whereas like if you put the ball in Randall's hands and he, gets bully balls or bulldozers to the ring and
but I personally felt like they needed a tough, big wing forward player.
Right? They did.
They missed that. They missed the toughness. Like Randall is pick your poison. Right. He will have moments of brilliance and will have really bad moments as well. I think you still need it, and I think we take it as it goes.
For sure.
In terms of the trade, again, we are talking Rudy Gobert numbers here. Can we all sit here and go, this guy, no All-Star games, probably won't have one, hasn't really made an All-NBA team from memory, he's made an All-Defensive second team, worth 5 picks.
I think value-wise, an overpay.
Yes.
I don't know what the actual negotiations were actually like behind the scenes, but for the move, I think it was a really great move. Irregardless.
Yep.
If that was the asking price on the Nets, then you kind of just had to give it to them.
The Nets were going to ask that because they know they obviously knew that the Knicks wanted Mikal. It's no secret. Obviously they wanted to get the Nova guys together, and that was the asking price. I think, and the value in it is that Mikal isn't going to be a max guy. So you're giving up that amount of value, but you're going to get a guy who's going to cooperate with the front office because he wants to stay with the Nova guys.
I mean, he wants to win too,
and he wants to win. And he's yet to be paid properly, but I don't think he's going to garner maxes around the league. I don't think he's that. Yeah, and I think people have seen that.
It's tough to give that verdict when OG just picked up 40 mil, right?
Yeah, but that's not a max. That's not a max.
It's not a max, but to be the fourth option, right? Yeah. Now, the only reason why the whole OG thing works is collectively you've got Brunson, Mikal, and OG all earning 80 mil combined.
Yeah.
Right? Because the other two are on 20. It works.
And Randall is incredibly cheap, which is another reason.
The whole roster is
how much longer is he on contract for?
2 more. This is 2 more.
He's on 30 mil a year.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So he's definitely outplaying that contract.
Yeah. Because that was the Pelicans contract.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay, look, short-term win helps to have another good team in the East. The East is so wide open at the moment. And I love the fact that they're going for it. It's a great year to go for it.
Yeah.
You got, they're the second best team in the East right now.
Yeah.
I put them above Milwaukee.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at it, it's just like you're straight away countering Boston's two, like the recent champions, two main players, like with Mikal, OG, and you just win every position.
That's a lot for those two to deal with.
Yeah, correct. And how deep you are as well now, your top 8 players.
Yeah, they have serious depth.
Yeah.
Serious depth. Yeah. If they keep Hartenstein as well, that is very scary. They can play 8 to 9 guys in the playoffs.
100%.
If you include Deuce McBride.
Everyone would have already played in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's a very comfortable team. So look, I think the Knicks paid a lot, but I think it was the right move, and I couldn't think of a better fit for him.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Let's transition to the Nets. All right, basket case of a team at the moment. They did quickly. We should touch on this because this other trade opened the gate for this trade to happen. So then the Nets did trade with the Rockets. They gave 2 Phoenix first round picks in order to get their own pick back for the year. Mm-hmm. From what I can tell, this looks like a 1-year quick tank. Grab Cooper Flag, make a decent team, and be active again next year because obviously the Rockets still have their next year pick. Mm-hmm. So 2 years from now they have next year's. But what are your thoughts from the Nets' point of view?
I think it was a great way to kickstart a rebuild.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before, Knicks definitely overpaid for Mikal, but to be able to get their picks back, and they know they're going to tank.
Yeah.
For a draft that is arguably better than this year's, I think it's a great trade. They know they're going to be bad. Yeah.
I think it's great. Like it's a good way to backtrack after a whole decade of just losing trades.
Correct.
And this, not having big decisions go your way. I'm quite happy with it. Like David said, good way to jumpstart a rebuild. Like just get picks back, try and figure out who's the next guy to draft.
Yeah. Important to note here as well, and I agree with you guys. I think the Nets did incredibly well, but they turned Kevin Durant into 9 draft picks. 9 draft picks and Cam Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So, that just shows, and I think that does a good job of visualizing the value of Kevin Durant over someone like Rudy Gobert. If Kevin Durant turns into 9 picks versus Rudy Gobert, who was 5, and now Mikal Bridges, who was 5, I guess you can really quantify now the value of draft picks against, Kevin Durant is obviously... Kevin Durant is a Hall of Fame player. Rudy Gobert is also a Hall of Fame player, but there's levels to this. So I think the Nets did really well to turn Kevin Durant to 9 picks and Cam Johnson, who I think will get moved and will probably get value as well. He's also worth 1 to 2 picks himself. So
yeah, I didn't really follow Cam Johnson this season to see how do you...
No good.
He was injured for
pretty average.
Yeah.
I want to take the opportunity to shit on the Nets a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, great trade. Got a bunch of picks.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific. It's been 12 years now since they moved to Brooklyn. 12 years since I was supposed to take over New York. As a fan of the Knicks, as a fan of the Nets, if you were a fan of the Nets, can you sit here and go, man, I'm so happy with this team 12 years in? What are you doing in Brooklyn still? You might as well relocate to another suburb or city. Where is your... You've had bigger names, couldn't keep them, couldn't make it work. You haven't drafted well, right? You haven't had picks to draft well. Your best 2 draft picks are in Boston winning championships. I mean, as a fan, if you were a fan of the Nets, you cannot sit here and go, thank God we got 5 picks from the Knicks. 3 of those picks are not going to be great. Given guaranteed. Right?
Yeah.
The Bucks pick is not going to be great.
I think the Nets are a bit of a tale, obviously, like you mentioned. I think, the KG and Paul Pierce stuff, that did not go well, and that showed. But I think their most recent saga was actually a lot down to bad luck. I think they're a pandemic away from having an insane super team. When that 3-headed monster that they had with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, they're a James Harden hamstring away from being, I think NBA.
You can argue they were a toe away.
The Kyrie injury away. It's so much.
There was so much bad luck there that I don't think it's hard to point your finger at the Nets and be like, oh, you guys screwed up. But I just think that if all things went well, we'd be looking at the Nets so differently right now.
Yeah,
I think so the Nets in that 2020 season also acquired some really great players like Blake Griffin, who started off hit the ground running with the Nets, played really well, and then he got injured. LaMarcus Aldridge, which was an all-star coming into the Nets, got his butt clapped, which again, you can't predict those kind of things. That's something that just spontaneously happens. So you can't really be mad as a fan. If that happened to me as a Cavs fan, I'm like, dude, we are so unlucky, but it's still a team worth rooting for.
But how can I be over so quickly? If you had all this upside And yeah, a few things went against you, but
you gotta admit the people that they did have, like Kevin Durant's like a drama queen. He forced his way out. Kyrie Irving himself has his own off-court issues as well.
But you invested.
At some point, you did invest in them, but like any Net fan, like to Daniel's point, they would have been happy with those moves.
You know what? I would actually counter it all and say being a Nets fan would be fun.
Yeah.
Because at least they know to build it up and blow it up quickly.
Yeah,
that's true.
Would you rather that? Like, would you
true.
rather like sit in the mundane and sit in the middle of being nowhere? Like,
Wizards,
like
being a Wizards fan.
Detroit
You don't want to be
Sacramento for the last few years.
Yeah.
Or just
Orlando
Magic.
Really
Like,
good point.
you know, at least they have like Sean Marks has guts. I like fully respect that. You know, they've made bold
He knows
moves.
what to get out.
Yeah,
the
so,
fans enjoy wearing their Ben Simmons jersey.
Yeah,
That's
and at least like
Claxton jersey.
yeah,
Start playing it.
that is a fantastic signing.
Yes.
We can talk about that at the end because we will talk about some.
Okay, before we move on, I just want to say I feel so bad for Bojan Bogdanovic. That guy has played on losing teams for like the past 2-3 years.
Yeah.
It's true.
So and now he's back on the Nets, which is another tanking team. It was a
He
Detroit
tasted
last year.
playoffs for a week and then got injured.
Exactly.
Dude,
yeah.
wasn't he on the Nets like ages ago as well? Like I feel like
he was
on like
Nets,
on 2K with him being on the Nets.
He was on the Nets.
Yeah,
yes.
for like a season or two with the Joe Johnson.
Yeah,
I think.
he was.
Yeah.
He is the quintessential trade chip.
Yeah.
Literally,
good, yeah.
like, every team he goes to is like, oh, let's throw him in the deal. Like,
Because he's good enough to be valued at that level, you know.
It's him
kind
and
of
Ron
crazy.
Covington.
Covington.
It's him and Ron
he's
Covington.
bounced,
Yeah.
like Ron Covington.
I think he will get waived though. I don't think he hangs around on this.
Oh
team.
yeah, probably.
What was his
He's
injury
He's
again?
35.
Hamstring, I think.
I think it was a pretty nasty one, like something that would actually slow you down
Yeah.
significantly.
Anything left to say about the Nets?
No, I think we need to move on to the other one,
Okay.
which is, in my opinion, more of a blockbuster trade because it's 2 against 2. All right, we got 2 boys that are for this trade, and we'll go to you guys first. Tell us exactly what you think is good about this trade, and we'll stomp it.
First, do you want to outline the trade?
Yeah,
what's the
trade.
trade?
So,
Yeah.
Hawks traded DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans. 2 first-round picks in return. Unprotected from the Pelicans in missing the year. The second one is heavily protected. A late first-round pick.
Yeah, it was like top 45.
Top 45,
yes.
Yeah. Second round. It would end up being in the second round.
Yeah.
So, not the biggest haul
Yeah.
for a guy that
Did you mention the players?
DeJounte Murray
he did,
for...
yeah.
Did. For Larry Nance Jr. and Dyson
Daniels.
My bad,
So,
forgot about
a
that.
young player,
Yeah.
contract filler,
Yeah.
2 picks.
For a guy that was traded for 4 first rounds.
Yeah.
Should throw that in.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4?
Four.
Yeah.
3 first and a pick swap.
Okay.
Um,
Let's open the floor to the
Let's
winners.
go.
The winner's side.
You want to start?
Yeah. So we'll take it from the team name. So Hawks obviously traded away someone that they had to make a decision between Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. It's kind of hard to come back from like pretty much going to the media saying one of them is going to be traded, right?
Yeah.
So DeJounte Murray ended up getting out of him. I'm surprised that was the package for him. It kind of speaks to like what was kind of out there. But you know, at the same time, they got rid of him. They have decided, look, we're going to build around Trae Young. We're going to build around the wings that we drafted, the wings that we've developed, and they're picking that direction to go. I do wonder what else they have up their sleeve in this offseason. Obviously, they get DeJounte Murray's contract off the books, so a little bit more wiggle room there. So keen to see what else they do. But for the Pels, I think they got a great compliment to CJ. I'm sure you have some points to this as well. But I think CJ has proven that he's able to play off the ball. He's able to play with another ball dominant star with his time in the Blazers.
I think it's also like important to note that he hasn't played well as without a ball dominant star with him, like Lillard or like another guard he can play off. Yeah, CJ. Like he has struggled by himself.
Yeah.
So like, keep going.
And of course, with DeJounte as the theoretical great defensive player that he is, I know that metrics haven't said that, haven't been kind to him recently. I think he fits in great if he's able to defend. If he wants to defend again, maybe it's the fact that he wasn't on the winning team in the Hawks. No one else was defending with him. He didn't put in that effort.
I think it's also like gotta consider that the Hawks was such a mediocre team that the whole season. Like we talked about, like being motivated to play with Mikal Bridges. Like you have to like give DeJounte Murray that grace as well. Like you might not have been motivated to play until the end of the season when you knew you could have made a playoff push, which is kind of what happened, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to point out is that DeJounte Murray back on the Spurs was like borderline triple-double machine. Like he was getting assists, he was getting rebounds, and on a team that's better structured for that kind of play maybe compared to the Hawks, he might be better on the Pelicans. And that might help them because the recent interview with the Pelicans GM, I think, or owner, just said that like, yeah, the core we have, like they finally were able to reach the playoffs with this core, and they now know what works and what doesn't work. And he seems quite certain of what move they want to make now as well. So I have a little bit more confidence in what they've considered going into this trade and acquiring DeJounte Murray as another kind of, I guess, another guard, another player to kind of contribute to the development of the young players, to contribute to the winning in the playoffs. So I think it was a great move by the Pelicans to get him. I mean, I personally feel like they didn't give up too much as well. Yeah. Like they could have, the Hawks very easily could have asked for Trey Murphy. What was the other guy? Herb Jones. Like guys who could have helped the Hawks be a better defensive team, rather than making them go through the draft, picking guys with potential defensive upside. Like what's his last name? Rusesha. I can't pronounce it. Yeah. But like rather than picking those guys to have them go through the free agency pool, they could have demanded that. They could be given it away. But now they have a potential team of DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, Zion, B.I., Valanciunas if they sign him back, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Alvarado if they want to sign him back. He's probably gonna not get signed back with DeJounte Murray there now, and a bunch of other potential role players.
All right. Well, I'll tell you why I don't like this trade for both teams. Look, I don't think it's actually. Let me take that back. I don't think it's the worst thing ever for Atlanta because I believe this was DeJounte's value. I think the way he played last season proved that he was a bit toxic in multiple ways, both as a personality because he clashed with Trae Young and that was obvious on the court, but also his play style. And I think that probably is the main reason why I'm not the biggest fan of this trade for the Pelicans because he's a non-shooting, need to put the ball on the floor sort of guard. And I just don't see that prototype of player being a winning player. Like if you think of playoff teams that are really succeeding, it's very difficult to look at lead guards who can't shoot winning games. And I just you pair that up with the fact that Zion is also going to be on the floor as well. And I think the best version of the Pelicans was when Zion was playing on the ball more. So you put Zion on the ball, you have DeJounte off the ball, you have a guy who's not really willing to shoot it or is not a good catch and shoot shooter. I think it kind of will bog down their offense. In saying that, speaking of their lineup and their depth a little bit, I can see specific lineups that could potentially work, and that would probably be lineups with Valanciunas on the floor to spread things out, and having someone like Trey Murphy in for Zion to space the floor, and you give DeJounte the ball, and you have CJ catching and shooting. Mm-hmm. That's a lineup I can see working, and the Pelicans didn't give up too much for the trade. But I just, fit-wise, I think you just add a player who's going to be difficult to bring into that offense. Yeah. So, from the Hawks' point of view, Dyson Daniels, nice young player. Larry Nance is just a filler there. I don't think he's really going to do much, but he's a lob catcher playing with Trae Young. So, there's some benefit to that. It's not just going to be just contract filler. Mm. And then 2 picks, which I think is bang on DeJounte's value, because if you looked at him 2 years ago and he got 4 picks, 2 picks and a young player right now, I think it's probably about bang on his value. So
I think for me, it's DeJounte Murray. He's playing. I think the way he played with Trae Young was also really, really just disgusting.
I think you're looking at it from the wrong point of view. Yeah, I'll be honest. You're looking at it from purely the kind of player DeJounte is. Yeah, great. You said close to triple-double threat. He had a 28% usage in San Antonio in his final year. If you even think he's getting close to that on a team where they've got 4 guys, can't play off ball, have to have the ball in their hands to create, a lot of mid-range, a lot of trying to get to the basket kind of guys that need the ball, he's not going to get to that point. To Denal's point, he is fairly toxic. He had to only compete with Trae Young for the ball. He's now got to compete with 4 other guys. All right. I personally believe it's not got to do with DeJounte. It's the wrong player for them to go for. They went for a big name and they thought they got like it's New Orleans, small market team. I understand from the ownership point of view, we've got to swing for it, right? Yeah. But I'm looking at this roster and I'm wondering. You said there's some good lineups with Valanciunas on the floor. I can't see that. I'm looking at the playoffs. Last season when they versed OKC, Valanciunas was on the floor. He was bullying Chet. OKC wasn't even phased. Like you can't play with it. You simply can't.
I need to add here that I don't like Valanciunas. No, I'm just saying that there's some lineups that were salvageable. Like maybe salvageable.
But you don't make a trade like this and put these egos on the same floor, right? The biggest negative for this Pelicans team is, you got DeJounte, but now your 2 young guys, arguably your best 2 guys, top 3, right? I would come off the bench. Their minutes are now going to be compromised. Your best perimeter defender, Herb Jones, is going to have to take a minutes cut because CJ, big ego, big player, is going to want the minutes. BI, big ego, going to want the minutes, not going to take a backward step. You're praying for a Zion injury just to bring Trey Murphy into the action a lot more. I can see a lineup where Zion at the 5 and you play the 2 wings. I can't see where they'll be good with BI.
Yeah. I don't think the Pelicans are done.
Yeah, they're definitely not.
I don't think they are. They're not done. There's been the rumors of BI getting moved. I would like to see that for them, and we spoke about it a little bit. And if what his market value actually is, and what team would want a player like BI, look, that's completely up in the air. But I just think that they have to move away from these players, like 1 or 2 of their players who need the ball in their hands, and that brings someone like Trey Murphy or Herb Jones onto the starting lineup, which Trey Murphy's amazing.
I think it's also like you gotta consider like perspective, right? Like the Hawks were not going anywhere no matter what moves they made during the season, like what kind of changes they made within the coaching system, whatever. Like DeJounte's coming into a new system, new environment. There might be some changes made that he might be more in agreement to.
His style's not going to change.
He's not
going to be a 38 to 40% 3-point shooter, which is what they need.
He's absolutely not going to score 22 points per game.
No, absolutely not. And personally, a guy like Klay Thompson would be amazing for a team like this.
That's true,
right? A guy that just spaces the floor, keeps defenders on their toes. That's what you need. Point Zion was amazing.
Yeah,
right. That's what you need to lean into. Trey Murphy at the 4, stretching the floor. That's what you got to lean into.
You might even they could even just be considering a Zion injury during the season to make sure they can stay above that 500 mark.
Yeah, but that's not why you make these trades.
I think
you want your best.
I think they made that trade because they wanted to get as much talent as possible.
Yeah,
straight up.
Small market team.
Exactly.
Got the names. And look,
for the price.
Yes, I looked at, and that's the topic I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Just quickly, it's a 2025 Los Angeles Lakers pick.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
It's not going to be a good pick.
I think
that's the better pick out of the 2. The other one is heavily protected, and it's the worst from the Milwaukee, New Orleans lineup. So whoever comes worse out of the 2, right? So it's going to be a Bucks pick, most likely, right?
Yep.
So it's going to be, 28th pick in the draft, and then the Lakers might be 23rd?
Yeah.
The Knicks had 2 of those picks this year, traded both away. They're not going to get anything out of those 2, and you've given up DeJounte, who top 4, you're tanking already. I just think this was a bad trade on both sides. I understand from the Hawks' point of view, you got him out, but hey, if the biggest win is getting out a guy that you gave up four first rounders for, it's not a win. It's definitely not a win.
Yeah, but they ate up 2 years of that contract, so it's never going to get. They're never going to get the same value back. Yeah. He also lost value in that tenure, but. Now that I think a little more about what DeJounte may bring to the Pelicans, look, the Pelicans haven't had playmaking. They haven't had true playmaking. CJ's great, and he filled that role okay, but it was very clearly a band-aid. It was very clear.
He's not a playmaker. He's a scorer.
Exactly.
Exactly.
He very clearly needed to pick up that role on that in a scenario that they had with the Pelicans, but maybe adding some true playmaking is the vision. That's the true reason.
It's hard to say though. DeJounte Murray in the last 2 years really has not shown great playmaking ability. It's hard as well because Trey Young is the playmaker of that team.
Yeah.
He can't take over that role. But hopefully, I'm hopeful that whatever he's learned from San Antonio has still stuck, and whatever he has developed there still sticks, and he applies it to the New Orleans.
Can we just say they weren't good
They weren't great.
Like, he was the main playmaker. They weren't good.
No.
He was getting a lot of turnovers. Like, he wasn't terrific. Like, you bought a CJ Light. This is what CJ was when Dame was injured. Like, he was the prototypical point guard, had a little bit of moments, but he was really a 2. This is what DeJounte is. He's a little bit of a point, but he's a 2.
Yeah, I like the
counter. He did have nine assists in San Antonio, and as a secondary playmaker to Trae Young, he had 6.4. I think he'll be okay with the team that he has around him. Trey Murphy playing off him, CJ McCollum playing off him. If it's for Willie Green to figure out how he wants to maximize these players, and we're yet to see that.
Yeah.
But I think for New Orleans, like you said, small market team, because they're able to swing this trade without even giving up like that much assets, I think it's still a good trade. It's still yet to see what Pelicans still can do in the market. But I'm sure that there is a vision there. There are ways to make it work, and it's again up to Willie Green.
I think the players around will work better than whatever he had in the Hawks.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I think so,
That's also for sure because you had
potentially. I still think it's a horrible fit. You guys still are believers that BI might get moved.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but
You don't think
you're
so?
attaching picks for him to get moved. He is in the Levine category. These guys aren't moved.
But
We
you never
talked
know.
about all summer. Name a team off the top of your head that'll take him for free.
Warriors. Wiggins for Brandon Ingram.
Cavs for Donovan Mitchell and Ingram. No,
Yeah,
you never
There's not
know.
a
But
team that he fits. I can't think of a worse fit than the Warriors.
Yeah, I would like to see some shot creation outside of Steph Curry. That would be nice. Yeah.
you never know what like a package could entail. There's like you never knew that the next one. I mean, I guess because
The only reason why I say all this is, in the last 12 months, there is now proof that BI is not that player.
Yeah.
You've got the you got the Team USA stuff, right?
yeah.
A lot of coaches saw it. Back end of that they weren't a great team, and he wasn't even getting minutes. He was in the rotation.
he was
the worst player.
making it worse.
Yeah.
And guys didn't like his attitude. They didn't like his vibe. He wasn't really working hard. Playoffs, another look. Wasn't great.
Correct.
When it mattered, it wasn't great. So why would you be shelling out 35 mil for this dude?
He got the Jaylen Brown treatment of not being able to go left.
yeah.
Literally. And he can't do it. I don't rate him as a player.
I don't think he goes to a winner.
No.
I don't
definitely
think a
not.
winning team will be like, yeah, this is our final piece. Like this.
But you might be able
But
to.
then a non-contending team is not giving you any good pieces. Right? Like it's,
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see. I'd like to see what happens with free agency starting tomorrow and what kind of like comes up from that. Do they extend him? Because last I heard that they were kind of talking about an extension. So
He loves New Orleans. There was a story last year where he was like, there was before he got that extension, he was contemplating going elsewhere. He wanted to stay. Everyone was saying that he might move on, but he wanted to stay. He loved New Orleans. He was like the nucleus. Like, I remember when he came to watch, what's the point guard's name? Alvarado in the Skills Challenge or whatever. He loves that thing. He is like that nucleus.
Yeah.
I think they see him very differently to whatever on the outside sees him. So I still think he's going to be on that roster.
interesting.
And in a loaded West, last point I want to make, this is the opposite to the Knicks thing. The East is open. Get a good team, go for it.
Yeah.
The West is loaded. Dude, scrap. Let's go down. Like, there's no going up.
Yeah. Fair point.
It's very hard to break that West top echelon, but again, it's kind of hard. I was gonna say you saw the Dallas Mavericks do it, but Dallas has a generational talent, two generational talents. Kyrie's amazing, and they had some really great performances from like Derek Lively.
Yeah. I would say that the East is far more top heavy, whereas every team in the West is good.
Yeah.
So because I think like you catch them, like we saw this, like you catch the Mavericks on the wrong night, you beat them. And like they're a team that goes on runs, and they all had to play very well for them to win games, and they had an amazing run of that in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
You can say that when you have a generational talent, but the thing is, like, in the East, where you've only got 2 or 3 teams that are good, you can model your team after that and get somewhere that you can compete.
Yeah.
Like, if you end up 5th and you're competitive with top 2, great. In the West, there's 4 different styles of competitiveness, and you might get 6th, right? But you're probably half a game out or whatever of like 10th, right? Like it's one bad game and you might be slipping to 10th. Like
One bad losing streak, you're out of the playoff.
You're out of it. Like, I mean, as a Warriors fan, you can contest. Happens every year, right? Like I don't know if this was like for the price they paid. Great move.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the play-in tournament, they were good. I don't know if I'm going to take anything from the play-in tournament, but maybe they are. Maybe not this piece, but maybe they are a piece away from like figuring things out.
Yeah.
So you may as well experiment.
Yeah, may as well experiment. Just
try
something.
It's a fun team to watch this year. Like everyone's gonna be tuning in. Which you probably don't say that.
I'll watch it for the first week.
Oh my
and
goodness!
I'll decide whether or not.
I'm praying for a healthy Zion.
This happens every season. They start out like amazing, and
that's
then, like,
true. Yeah.
Zion gets injured, and it's like
it just all goes to crap. Then Bi gets injured. Oh man, it's rough.
I'm waiting for the thin Zion photos to come out. And like, workout photos.
It's thin Zion, and then there's Ben Simmons summer workout.
Yeah. With Photoshop biceps.
Oh, that's crazy! I can't believe you got caught out for that. That's oh my goodness.
All right, should we move on to the drafts?
Yes,
let's go.
All right.
All right, let's enter the NBA draft. So last week we did a little mock draft between me, Denal, and David. Just seeing where our picks were. Instead of going through all the picks, we're going to go through a bit of winners and losers category. We're going to go with the winners to start with. As a team here, we've got a few winners that we believe are no-brainers. Mm-hmm. The one that all four of us believe was a winner on the night was Utah.
Yeah. Sure.
I'll give my quick thoughts on this one. Nothing fancy, but I think they took all the players that they required. They took a younger Colin Sexton, which I love. Can replace Colin Sexton very easily. Mm-hmm. They took a younger Walker Kessler, who apparently is on the move. He's on the chopping block.
Is
he was in a bunch of trade rumors
already.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, some trade
you
generation.
could tell last season wasn't the sophomore season he wanted. Averaged about 22, 23 minutes. Big dip down from the first season. I don't think he doesn't suit their style per se. But great getting Filipkowski. I love their picks. I think they did a lot of good work.
What about Cody Williams? You didn't mention him.
I loved it when we wrote it down, and I looked at Cody Williams a little bit more, and I was like, now look, Cody Williams has the benefit of having to play behind Lowry, right? They're going to hold on to Lowry, no doubt. I think maybe having a role player like that, star player like that, potentially he can learn off. He'll be sheltered for the first couple of seasons. If that shot ever comes through, that'll be amazing. I know you believe that he's got a shot.
He's got good mechanics. He shoots like his brother. Like the jump shots are incredibly similar, and his brother shoots very, very well.
Put a clip on that.
Yeah.
Well, he did shoot 40%. He did shoot 40%.
Yeah. No, but like also his percentage dipped down a lot towards the end of the season, where I think he had to create for himself, and then that's where like it really took a hit because like he has a shaky handle.
Well, he won't have to create for himself on this team.
Yeah,
you'd believe.
Look, I think all three of the guys they chose are perfect for their timeline.
Yeah,
they're all project guys. A lot of this draft was going to be a lot of project guys because there weren't many people who were going to be surefire or people who could just step into your team and affect things straight away. But I think the three that they picked, and Daniel said this before the pod, and I think it's perfect. But they're three guys that could have gone in the lottery, Yes. And like if you're getting that, and you've got deeper picks, one in the late 20s and one, at the start of the second round, and you've gotten guys that could have potentially gone in the lottery, I think you've done pretty well.
Yeah,
you're able to do that. So projects, all of them. Cody Williams, put him on an NBA team, give him an NBA strength coach. Maybe he figures things out with his body. But he proved that he was a good finisher in college. It's just the scare is that, he's really light, super skinny, and that potentially won't translate. But he's got great mechanics. He's a good kid because Jalen Williams is very eloquent. He's his brother. I've watched interviews. Cody's also very eloquent, and apparently he nailed interviews, and Utah loved him after interviews. So, I mean, if you give a guy a good IQ and give him an NBA-ready body and that length, I think he'll do all right.
I'm really keen to see Isaiah Collier as in Utah.
Yeah,
I feel like you said, replacement for Colin Sexton, but way better passer. He
more
was
of a point guard, more of a proper
more of a pure point guard. It's more conducive to playing with Jordan Clarkson and Larry Markkinen, and like introducing new players for them to kind of blossom in Utah. I mean, he's the number one ranked player in his high school class for a reason. You know, it's unfortunate he didn't get to play very much in college because of injuries.
Yeah, the USC whole
Yeah,
experiment sort of went south. It didn't do
yeah,
well.
it did blow up.
3 guards never work. I don't know why people keep
Dude,
doing that.
I don't know why
It
they
didn't
keep
work
doing
in the
that.
Suns. Didn't work for the Warriors. It never works.
Yeah, but it's. I'm very excited to see it. He has, in my opinion, quite sound shooting mechanics that will just get refined as he trains with better trainers, with coaching staff who might nag at him. But it's a serviceable shot, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you get him on a catch and shoot. You won't get him to creating because that's Jordan Clarkson's job. So
It'll be interesting. I think the timeline part is sort of something that's worth discussing over the off season because they do have older guys, younger guys. It's sort of they're middle of the park. It'll be interesting.
Lowry's timeline is a bit ahead
Yeah.
of the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And that's the only guy they want to hold on to the
Yeah.
most.
how old is he?
27.
27.
Yeah.
So he's getting up there. All right, let's move on. Our next winner, without a doubt, Dalton Connect might have not believed it during the draft, but everyone found it a big win that the Lakers grabbed. Would you say the best shooter in that category?
He's one of the better ones.
I think the best fit
Yeah.
player to team.
Yes.
in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yes.
Lakers got a steal with getting him at number 14?
17.
17, yeah.
Damn,
Even better than
17.
him. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I was hell bent on Miami taking him,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think
Duncan
it's better.
Robinson.
But look, Connect on the Lakers.
Yeah, I think he's the best 3-level scorer in the draft.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I think you can say that hands down. Like the way that he basically was Tennessee's offense, and you go to him for any play, and he was the one who was getting game planned for. He was a killer. So, like, I think like his offense is going to translate straight away to the NBA. He's got good size. He's got a good feel for the game.
We had a
Great.
top 6.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would have loved him. Like when the Spurs 8th pick was coming up, I was like, please, like take him, please. But
Yeah.
the Spurs clearly they want to really extend that timeline. But yeah, look, I
think-
love him. I love him for the Lakers. I
Yeah.
think it's a great fit. It's what they need. I think they need another power punch shooter, like someone who's not Cam Reddish. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. It's
What was it? I put.
And,
Yeah.
Sorry, I think the knocks on him as well. He is a decent athlete. He is a great vertical athlete. And look, like you guys said, I love it for the Lakers. Playing next to LeBron's going to be amazing for him just to learn off and the open looks that he'll get. I think it's just an instant boon to the offense, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a good time to touch on actually because you've got LeBron and the Lakers as a whole as a winner.
Yeah.
So you want to touch on why you got LeBron and the Lakers?
Well, I'm in the camp that LeBron's gonna re-sign with the Lakers, and I don't know. I feel like 99% of people kind of believe that. I think LeBron's a winner because he gets to play with his son.
Yeah.
Like that's a historical thing. No one's ever done in the league. It speaks to his longevity. It speaks to his ability to just play at a high level and be such an icon in the sport. That nepotism or not, he got his own. He gets to play with his own son, who was literally born when he was in the Cavs.
yeah.
Did you see the stat by the way on that? The year that he was born, 26,
Yeah.
7 and 7.
Yeah.
His last season, 24.5.
No, it was 27, like 6 and
8.
7
No,
or
he got
something.
8 assists last season.
Uh-huh.
It was literally, it was off by a point.
Yeah, he
one
averaged
of
26.
everything.
26 points
Insane.
last
The
season.
longevity
It's crazy.
is
Yeah.
insane with LeBron.
Yeah.
Look, as a fan of the NBA, like I don't think you can be like no matter what you think of Bronny James, it is truly incredible that he gets to play with his father.
Yeah,
That
100%.
that is just like I don't think it's something that we will ever see again.
Yeah.
Because, like LeBron is a super soldier and one of a kind. So yeah, like I'm super excited. That's another win for the Lakers. Like
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really keen because like I feel like they just got another Austin Reeves who's just gonna hustle for the ball. He's gonna shoot the ball well, and he can create. And like I feel like I think you said it just now. Like they were just missing that extra person to just that extra punch, you know, instead of Cam Reddish. Like the whole season, it was just like, well, D'Lo's not gonna step up. Well, hopefully now we have this young guy who's in his prime already, like ready to like try and make that push.
I think you guys touched on everything. I think we can talk about.
One thing I want to quickly say, I do think Bronny James needs to spend some time in the G League.
I don't.
I'd
Think,
love to see him in the G League.
Yeah.
Does anyone believe that he's gonna actually get minutes to start? Like,
I don't think
No,
so.
but,
First-
yeah, I kind of.
I don't think the debut with him and his dad's gonna come until maybe late December.
I think it might come in the first home game as like a loss. If they're winning by a significant amount, JJ Redick might put him in for a minute. just
I don't
for
think
the
so.
for the clip, just for the hype.
Like
you
if,
do that,
if,
take
if
him off.
garbage time is about to start,
Yeah,
you just keep
probably.
LeBron out and just to have that moment.
I can see that.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
can
like
see
you
that.
need to
Yeah.
you need to kind of cater to the fans, cater to the culture,
And the
and
kind of
that's what
strike
it
while
is.
the iron's hot.
Yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
you need to get the sales up too.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
I would think they do the right thing and shelter him through the first.
100%.
Because
And JJ's neck is on the line too. Like he's a
Exactly.
first time coach. Like
Exactly.
he's not gonna do something just.
the criticism's going to
bend
be
it off.
thick in
No,
that period.
I reckon
want
he
him
will-
away from the team. He'll be with the G League team. Might do the first 3 months in the G League.
yeah, like there's always random tournaments. I reckon he'll be in every single tournament, and then you know you have those players that just come in randomly. Yeah, and he will be there. Like they're not gonna let LeBron not sit on the bench with his son. I think LeBron's not gonna let that happen. I think
this
LeBron
could
will
be-
want him at the sideline learning as
Yes.
he's going. Yeah.
This will be a talking piece throughout the season, which is why I don't want to touch on it too much.
Yeah.
Because obviously the nepotism angle and everything that we could touch on in the off season,
Yeah.
that's only going to grow louder. We've got a few teams here, so we've got a couple of the boys that are big Blazers fans. Janelle, David,
Yeah.
tell us why they're the biggest winners in your mind.
Well, this stems from, my prediction for the first pick was Donovan Clingan.
Yep.
I think that he is your anchor. If you're picking a player like that, you are going to anchor your franchise, your defense, parts of your offense around that type of player. And for me, I think the Blazers are a massive winner because he dropped there. Obviously, we kind of got that feeling that if he wasn't going to go first, he was going to drop to about that range. I think either the Blazers or Memphis were going to pick him. There was always talk of Memphis wanting to move up, but the Blazers get him. And for me, that is an amazing defensive cornerstone because I see him in the same vein as Rudy Gobert with a bit more touch, more hands on offense, the ability to pass it better, and not just be a dribble handoff guy. I think he's one who's actually going to face the basket and actually look for cutters. So that not only is that, in my opinion, the best prospect to build your franchise around in this entire draft, I think personally, but also he gives the Blazers direction. Like they got their prospect and now they truly have a direction. And I like Bob Carrington. I think Bob Carrington is very young. He's one of the youngest players in this draft, but crafty on-ball scorer, and thankfully we'll see the ball out of Tumani Kamara's hands and hopefully in Bob Carrington's hands.
Well, they've got time. Timeline.
Yeah,
fits
of
perfect,
course.
yeah.
They've got so much time, but I like the two picks and a direction. So,
Might be a bit controversial here. You guys might not like the sound of it.
sure.
But Clingan, is he like a prime Nurkic?
Prime Nurkic.
Yeah.
I think he moves a bit better than
He moves.
He moves- yeah, Nurkic is a bit too slow,
He's
man.
7,
Yeah.
He's 7'2" with Rudy
He's 7'2"?
Rich. He's 7'2".
No way! I didn't know it was that tough.
He's a bit slow. And I think the biggest issue we saw was in pick and roll defense, people would often get behind him.
Yeah.
So we saw a bit of that with Luka exposing Rudy by doing that. So Donovan may have those same tendencies, but measurements wise and speed wise, he's quite similar to Rudy Gobert. I see the comparison defensively,
Yep.
and he's a winner because UConn were winning games with him on the court.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
I think any player from UConn this draft, great pick. They've been in a system where they know how to learn complex plays. They under a great coach,
Play together.
they know how to play team ball. Like it's huge to get a player like that who is a cornerstone to the offense and the defense.
Yeah,
you know?
literally the hub of that team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is now the hub of the Portland Trailblazers, and I'm excited.
I agree and disagree. I mean, you could still go to like the Wizards, for example, and the best coaching you might have ever get in your life is probably going to be at UConn. So
Yeah, that's
you
probably
know,
true.
you can go from,
You can
if
get
go from
Darvin
good
Ham.
to good. It's good. If you go from
But-
good to miserable,
But that UConn coach, I can't remember what his name was, but he is so good.
Dan Hurley.
Dan
Dan Hurley. Like I'm keen to see how that can kind of help Clingan get in that rookie of the year race.
Yeah.
You know, see
Yeah.
what that's gonna do, what kind of comparisons going to come out once he starts playing with
David,
athletic
give
guards.
us your thoughts. Winner.
I don't want to. Sorry, I have to burst your bubble here.
Okay.
Bob Carrington did get traded to the Wizards. Unfortunately,
He
But
did
that-
too.
yeah, but that
apologies.
feeds into my point, which is along with this trade, like because of that trade,
Yeah.
they got rid of Malcolm Brogdon and they brought in Denny Avdia. I think they're a winner from this trade because of that. They get rid of that long jam at their guard position and they managed to bring in. I'm high on Denny Avdia. I like Denny Avdia. I think they bring in the starting small forward, which they definitely had issues because I mocked Cody Williams to them because I think they needed that. They needed that small forward position. Now they get a really great do-it-all forward that's able to kind of play off and support what they currently have. And along with the Donovan Clingan trade, I think it's great because Robert Williams is like, I don't think he's gonna play anymore. Like that guy's shot. Like he's a shot.
Yeah, it's really sad, man. Like he's so young and like it just happens.
He's
so
good.
quickly.
He's really good.
He was incredible at the Celtics on those
and as a
OG
defender,
playoff games. Yeah.
Dude, he's nuts.
My apologies. Yes, Bob Carrington did get traded. But I like Denny. I like Denny too.
Denny's good.
I don't value Denny the same way that other people do. I personally think that. Yeah, I think he had some big head moments, but he played okay last season, towards the end of the season. So, I'll give him some credit. I'm interested to see what it would look like on a better team.
I'm really intrigued to see how being on a team that can compete will affect him. I don't know if the Blazers will compete, but maybe a different environment as well might be good for him.
That's my thing. Like, I just don't see him as like a winning player. Like, that's my guys for everything. Is like when you plug this person into a winning team or a championship team, like where do they fit? And I just don't see it with Denny. But I'm happy to prove him wrong. He was on the Wizards, so we weren't going to see much of it. Yeah.
The only quick thing I want to chuck in with the Blazers is that I'm happy that the Buff from a few years ago is now probably going to be jobless. Because I'm not an Ayton fan. I really hate Ayton.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't want to be there. He thinks he's the best center in the world in his own mind.
He's lazy, man. He's lazy on everything he does.
The Blazers didn't want to show up to a game because there was snow in his driveway last year.
Well, apparently his neighborhood was snowed in. Like
snowing. From what I've heard, I don't live with snow, but it's pretty scary apparently.
Yeah. Terrifying. Again, I love the Blazers going with a center that actually wants to be there.
Yeah.
I hope they do flip him somewhere. Would love him to go to any team really, other than the Blazers, because they have a timeline. He doesn't fit clearly. He doesn't want to be a leader.
Yeah.
They made the correct decision. They didn't go, we have Ayton. We shouldn't take the best prospect left in the draft.
Yeah.
They took the right guy. Very happy for the Blazers.
Next,
I want to touch on something. So for me, I have Castle and the Spurs as winners. And you touched on this a little bit. So obviously, the San Antonio Spurs took Castle at the 4th spot. I think he's the perfect player to go along with Wemby. I'm a massive Castle fan. I think, again, they didn't have a point guard. They didn't have even a solid guard that they could go to. The usage is going to be nuts with him. He's going to be playing alongside Wemby. Defensively solid. Got to work on the shot a little bit. Got a lot of good court vision. I think it's the perfect spot. Like you said, perfect. When you have a good situation, good coach, good foundation. It's positive, correct. So they had the 4th pick and they had the 8th pick. And I think this is where they're a winner. They got rid of the 8th pick. Okay?
Yeah, they did.
I love the roster at the moment, but clearly what they're lacking is veterans. And they want to speed up the timeline. They definitely do. Wemby is going to compete,
no,
right?
they don't.
As in, they've slowed it down by taking later draft picks. So they got the 29th and 31st draft pick from Minnesota, right? And I saw the memes, they were like Pop looking at a bunch of like 10-year-olds going, hey, this is the draft class and whatnot. They've done a mature step by going, okay, we're not going to just sell everything to get veterans, but they're looking to get more veterans on the roster. Dillingham would have been great. You got a good guard combination, but if you're banking on just those two with no veteran experience around them to be good enough to play with Wemby, I didn't think that was going to happen. I think they got rid of that. They got some assets that they can throw into a lot of draft picks. Those 2 Minnesota picks are terrific, right? Yeah. I mean, they'd be lucky to have... you're hoping they have Anthony Edwards by that point. I don't think they'll have most of their team by that point.
Yep.
Right? So, I think their next moves this season, they're going to get some vets. I think they'll bring in a couple of guys that know how to play. If you can bring in your Mike Conley, CP kind of guy. I would love CP in San Antonio.
That'd be nice. Maturing Castle.
Maturing Castle are just helping unlock Wemby's length.
Big culture guys. That's kind of what you want there at the moment. You want to build a good foundation. And I think they took the right steps. Another rookie does not help.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right.
This is where I disagree.
Tell me.
So, my whole issue with the Spurs, I love Castle. Yep. Castle was amazing. He was definitely the best pick there. Yeah. Like if Reed was available, I would have been ecstatic with Reed. Yeah. But Castle, amazing. I think he'll fit amazingly next to Wemby. My whole issue is the Spurs need upgrades in every single position, and you have a draft pick, an 8th pick available to you right now, which you can get value on right now. And yes, if they wanted, they clearly want to push back their timeline. I don't think they want to win right now. I think they still want to pick in 2025. They still want to pick in the coming years, and they want to build in a better draft. I get that, but they had the opportunity to pick either Connect or they had the opportunity to pick Topic. And Topic fits their timeline better because he's going to sit a year. He's a Euro guard. He plays pick and roll amazing. He's the best pick and roll ball handler in the entire draft.
Yeah.
He shoots 40% from 3. He would have been an absolute gem for Popovich to have on the team, and they whiffed. And I just think, even if they didn't pick Topic, like, why not have another bite of the cherry? Like, why? I get that you want to bring vets in the team. I still think they can do that. They have cap space. They can sign on people at minimums. But they don't want to win. I'm telling you right now, they don't want to win.
I don't think vets are coming at the moment just from cap space alone. I think they need to trade for those, right? Second thing is, which Wemby team, barring injury, is going to be bottom 4? It's not going to happen. They're not going to be that high.
Trust me, the Spurs will find a way like they did last year. Because they were amazing when they actually played the correct lineups.
Yeah, but I don't think
they want to be bad. They want to be bad.
You can do that again. You have a point guard now. You have Castle. You're not playing so standard.
Well, the thing is, look, Castle's not proven as a point guard. Personally, I would rather him play as a 2.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to have... I don't think he's the playmaker you would want with Wemby. Like, if you think about... we mentioned Chris Paul earlier. Imagine plonking a floor general like Chris Paul into a team like the Spurs. Like, that's what you want. Like,
sorry. You're so right. And I was... Before we did the whole draft last week, my initial draft was for Spurs to pick Isaiah Collier as a defensive guard who's a pure playmaker who'll play next to Wemby. And, like, dude, Isaiah Collier was still on the board at that point. Like... You're right. They could have drafted someone like that.
That's really
And sorry. Yeah.
No, I think you made a really good point. If they were looking for veterans, was there not a package out there for a veteran as well as another pick at number 8?
Right. I think, and even if you pick a young player, that young player has value. Why don't you flip that later at a later stage? You know, it's not like you're throwing into the abyss. Like,
does that not speak volumes about the draft? We spoke about this. Is any team better at picking draft picks than the Spurs? They saw the value.
Okay.
They saw, hey, this ace pick is great, but we've got 2 first rounders from Minnesota coming up in probably better draft. This is not a great draft.
There is... The odds say that there is a Hall of Famer in this draft.
Yeah.
And there is at least 1 to 2 All-Stars, right? Why not take another bite of the cherry when you have it?
So why look for a needle in a haystack when you can get a better draft pick just further down the line? Like you said, if they're not accelerating the timeline, bro, get more draft picks.
But like
2 for 1.
I don't know the saying properly, but a bird in the hand now is better than having it. 5 years later. You're a young team. Pick the young players, develop them. If that doesn't work out, trade them. They still have value, and they've pushed out their timeline by getting a valuable pick. I agree, it's a valuable.
Too valuable. I think they're both going to be very good picks. You're looking at a Minnesota franchise that's not very good at being relevant. I would take 2 in the hand. I would take those 2 over. Look, I think the problem for them was they had the 8th pick, right? There is certain expectations of that 8th pick that you kind of have to take a mold of like 5, 6, 7. Can't really reach down. I don't think you could take Collier. It's just further down. He wasn't really in that mold, right? If he was taken at the 8th spot, every single person in the room would be like, whoa, this is so high. What the hell? Like, what are they doing that for? If they had the 20th pick, I think it'll be a different story. You take another rookie project. Why not? Topic was, again, potential. I think the ACL really turned them off with that.
But I don't know. It's a partial tear. Like, he was just had to immobilize his leg and it would have healed. Like, it's not...
Again, but look...
It's just relevant.
The Spurs don't get this wrong. They never get this wrong. They rarely ever get this wrong, right? I think they made the right decision there by moving off that. If Dillingham was not their guy...
Which he wasn't.
He
wasn't.
So why get 2 undersized... Well, not undersized, but 2 smaller guards, right? When move off, get 2 more. Those 2 can... They could get another pick next year if they really wanted. And that's the draft that everyone wants to get in on, right?
Those picks aren't going cheaply, though. They can't flip the 31 from Minnesota into that.
Not just the 31. Look, you can add a couple. But again...
I just think 8 is a good enough number that you're going to look back at the picks after 8 in 2 years' time and be like, well, the Spurs should have just
taken that guy. Is 17 a good number? Because that's
No,
what 8
seven-
is.
17
That's what 8 is. That is what 8 is this year. And we spoke about that twice now.
I don't agree with that because I think when you're getting in a stacked draft,
Yeah.
8 onwards, you're getting quality role players, and I think this draft was filled with quality role players. It was absolutely not top heavy, but at least the lottery was filled with quality players that you could see flourishing into something. I don't think that's any different from any other draft. I just think every other draft you have 4 or 5 players that you can be like, all right, they have Hall of Fame potential. Whereas the top of this draft, you could look at no one. I think the top of this draft is going to be a bust.
So who would you have taken with 8?
Either Connect or
Topic.
or Topic.
Yeah.
Topic. If they're thinking timeline, like
Topic
it's
would be
perfect.
the only one that
I was looking at European players for the Spurs the entire time because I just think that it's going to work, especially with Wemby as well. And the Spurs love Europeans. Like they've always built internationally. Australians, Europeans, they love it.
Yeah.
So, like Topic was there, and like his strengths would have been perfect for the team.
If I'm being honest,
yeah.
I think originally they were looking for taking that 8th pick.
Yeah.
I think that guy went 6th. Tulun or Saloon.
Oh, to Jane.
Yeah.
Oh, that French guy.
I think he went earlier than they expected. I think he went earlier than anyone really expected. At 6th.
That was awesome.
I think that was the guy that they were going to because he looks like a working project. 6'10", really raw looking frame. Again, another French guy. I'm sure Wemby would have been in the ear of everyone saying this guy's got some background. I think once he went off the board, I don't think they had too much of a connection with Topic. I know he's a European player, but probably wouldn't have looked too much into him. That's what happened with Connect, right? That he worked out with the top 10 teams. No one after that worked out with him, right? So they were sort of playing catch up, and it was like, hey, we don't have proven talent, so it's not like, if a guy drops, we're going to go for him kind of thing. So I don't think they probably game plan for him. And then if that Minnesota thing comes in, they're giving me 2 first rounders. I'm taking that in a heartbeat in this draft. No other team got 2 first rounders for a pick in this draft.
Did you get 2 firsts?
They got 2 firsts.
30 at 31.
Unprotected.
Nuts.
30 and 31
Crazy, yeah.
unprotected. Let that sink in with Minnesota.
No. I
Like,
get
dude,
that.
that could result in a number 1 pick. Sorry, one of them is top 1 protected.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I've
there
never
you go.
seen that protection on a pick, but top 1 is top 1, right? So it could be any other pick but that. But
Yeah.
I will take that in a heartbeat. I mean, you're hoping Rudy's there by that point.
Well, he's
Cam's
not.
gonna be
Like, they're not going to be there. Like, Rudy's going to be done at that point.
Look,
He's already looking old. But
I'm
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
it in
yeah.
a bad
Bro,
draft.
After guarding Luca, he
Yeah.
aged like 3 years.
I mean, DeJounte Murray couldn't get 2 first round picks,
Okay.
right? Rob Dillingham got 2 first round picks. So
we can talk about that a bit when we talk about Minnesota.
Anyway,
yeah. We'll move on.
anyone else want to cap off anything winners wise?
Winners wise, I want to talk about the Wolves.
Wolves.
I actually want to talk about the Wolves because I think Tim Connolly's doing something innovative,
Yep.
and they're very clearly not afraid to trade first rounders. Clearly, they did it for Rudy. They're doing it for Rob, but Connolly's a genius because he's going to be restricted by the apron in the new CBAs.
Yes.
And he's added a player who's the most talented player in this draft, and exactly what they needed is an offensive punch. I think fit-wise as well for Dillingham, it's perfect because his defensive shortcomings are going to be patched up by having the bigs behind him. So like for both sides, I'm like super happy with the front office of what Minnesota did, and I think Dillingham it's a great fit for him. It would have been better than any rebuild team. Like you put him in a contender.
Sure. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Like,
Yeah.
They weren't going to get any talent anywhere else.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Like,
There's
they keep
so
their
much
core-
talent.
I think you're right actually. Like for what you had on the table in this draft, they made more than the most out of it.
And sure, it's
Yeah.
behind someone behind Mike Conley to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the hope that Dillingham takes.
And
over. So-
Nikhil Alexander-Walker didn't prove to be a very good offensive threat coming off the bench. You have Rob Dillingham coming in, so much offensive talent.
yeah.
Again, that gets covered by everyone else
Yeah.
defensively. Fair enough. Yeah.
Do you reckon they had that loaded up for any team that was ready to get Dillingham? Because I think Dillingham was probably, barring the top 4,
Mhm.
I think Dillingham was probably the only one that fit the Wolves and what they needed. I feel like if anyone was going for Dillingham, do you reckon they would have got that 2 picks? Let's say Charlotte went for it. We're taking Dillingham at 6. Bang. Do you reckon they still go in? Do you reckon they just penciled him in?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was the plan.
Yeah.
Like I think the front office of the Wolves sat down after the season and said, "What are our options for getting better?" and this is the main way. Like, this is the only way they're going to do it, really. Like, in reality, like, the apron holds them back from doing anything, so...
Very gutsy, because, I mean, you don't get to work out with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
incredibly
Yeah.
gutsy,
Yeah.
because now you've mortgaged your entire future with the draft picks,
Yeah.
but, yeah, you have a serious team. And the Bulls prove that.
And they are fresh out of picks.
Yeah.
Fresh out.
Yeah. Is that like the latest draft picks that's been traded? Like,
Yeah, 31
Yeah.
is the latest that you can get.
Yeah.
hold of. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's quite nuts. I mean,
Yeah, it's really ballsy.
just to quickly wrap up on the winners. I know we've got two more winners actually. Quickly, I just want to touch on France. We spoke about this off air as well.
Yeah.
They've got plenty of potential still coming through, but first country to get the first two guys, obviously outside of America, to be the same nationality.
Yeah.
So 2 French guys going in the top 3 and then 3 in the top 6. Impressive.
Shout out, France.
Yeah. If
Good job.
even half of these guys stick in the next couple of years, France is an insane Olympic team, which I would love to see.
Cannot wait.
Olympics is going to be interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously an off-season topic for us. We're going to wrap up the winners with just quickly on the Grizzlies. Just because, like, I personally have them as a bit of a loser, but Daniel's going to tell me why the Grizzlies are a winner.
Okay, like, first of all, tell me why you think they'll lose. It's like,
Are we focusing on the Thunder? Or are we focusing on the Grizzlies, or are we focusing on Edie?
well, I mean, you have to consider both.
Both.
Yeah, I have to consider
So
both.
go with the losing argument first, and me and
Yeah.
Daniel will come.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
lose. Okay.
Murder you.
Yep. Now, the losing argument for me, I'm just looking at it purely from a fit and build point of view. Okay? Firstly, on the build. You can all sit here and tell me, how many people can you tell me that you were excited at 300 pounds to go, hey, this guy's going to have a great longevity in the NBA?
Well, okay, it's a bit different when you say 300 pounds and not account for his height.
Cool.
7'4",
Yep.
7'10" wingspan, 300 pounds. That's great prime
Yep.
center.
Huge human.
Huge human.
Big man.
That might be Shaq level,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
physicals.
And does that... Okay, great. Shaq level, he's played a 16-game season all his life, right?
Yeah.
He's asked to play 82 games, not on a slow-paced team, on a very fast-paced team. Around a team that wants to compete, he doesn't have the time to be making mistakes. They want him to be NBA ready to go, and they want him to play at that pace. I don't think he's a bad player. I think everyone talking about the draft, his ceiling was 9th, and his floor was around 15.
Yeah.
Right? 15 to 20 range. I'm just amazed that he went at the top spot at 9 to Memphis, who, again, they've played with big centers. They had Valanciunas for a bit. They had Steven Adams. Now we're moving on to Edie. I don't think that's the fit. I think Jaren Jackson is the fit at the 5, and I think an elite defensive wing 3-point threat was what they should have gone for. I personally don't think he's going to have a long future in the NBA. It's just not a build that works. Playing at a fast pace, playing 82 games. That's just my look on it. He might still have a great rookie season. I can still see that because he'll probably fill it up with, 14 and 8 at least in the limited minutes that he gets. But I mean, come on, Memphis, you were lucky. You were lucky to do the Spurs thing and take 1 year with your main guy out, right? It's a David Robinson draft pick. Like it's, your main guy gets injured, you get a good high draft pick. Surely you take someone that can help you at the wings. That's where you need it.
They didn't really have anyone past that would have been like really moved the needle for them though.
I still think
completely
Connect would have been
honest.
amazing.
I don't think
You want to
so.
go in first?
Like,
I'll come in
I
after.
wouldn't say Connect is amazing. You already have Bane at that
Yeah,
spot.
he's your creator.
But then they lost Steven Adams in the off season. He's not coming back.
Right.
They
Traded him to the Rockets.
They traded him.
Yeah.
They didn't want him back.
Yeah, so you get that replacement, like big, strong guy for Jar to set a screen to set Jar screens to get open space and run into his layups. Like,
So you're telling me the 9th pick is what screen setters? I mean, you can
I mean,
be 2
you
second
have to-
rounders against screen
Wait,
setters.
wait,
Contextualize
let me
the
come in
draft.
here, okay? Let me tell you exactly why this is the pick that they needed to make.
Right.
Memphis were going to take a center no matter what they were going to do. That was 100% their plan, and the reason being is because Jaren Jackson cannot play the 5.
yeah,
He cannot,
Yeah.
and he proved that in the Olympics when he was grabbing 1 to 2 rebounds. He cannot play a shot blocking role at the ring. Jaren Jackson is an amazing weak side help defender who will come in and block shots, and you need a big man. And the evidence is that Steven Adams, when he was playing on the court, the Memphis Grizzlies were the number 1 seed in the West.
Right.
They are an amazing team when they had an amazing rim runner, screen setter, bruiser. Zach Edey is a massive human who sets disgusting screens.
Like,
amazingly brick wall
huge
screens.
upgrade. Like,
Amazing hands. Court awareness. Yes, he's not going to play back to the basket. That's fine. He's got big hands. You don't need him to play that role in the NBA. Like, he's going to play a slightly different role to what he played in college. He's not going to be expected to score 35 points in playoff games, you know? Zach Edey and his measurements make him a unicorn. You can compare him to any 300-pound player you want. But what he did in college with the endurance that he had in playing 35-plus minutes as a 300-pounder, even in a small sample size of 16 games, is still impressive. Then you take what he did in the draft combine, which is moving faster than Rudy Gobert, moving faster than Klingon,
shooting well.
Yeah, he is going to translate to the NBA. He's going to be better than Steven Adams, and he's as a flaw of what they need him to be is a screener for Ja Morant,
Exactly.
and he's more than that, and he has great hands. I think he's going to succeed, and I think it's ludicrous to think that it was a bad pick.
I think
ludicrous to think that. Like,
dude, 2-time NCAA Player of the Year, 2-time Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award winner, 2-time consensus first team All-American, 2 NCAA season scoring leader.
Yeah.
Like, these are things that you have to remember, like, contextualize it. He was in the draft pick. He was in last year's draft class as well, winning those awards. In this year's draft class, again, winning this award. Like, this is consistency that you don't get from a lot of, like, prospects. This is, like, he is, to some extent, a generational talent in terms of his size and his consistency between those 2 seasons. And again, like we said, with Steven Adams, like, you got to upgrade with Steven Adams in the sense that he has more potential than Steven Adams. He has more pedigree than Steven Adams had coming into the league. He has shown a willingness to learn to shoot, given his, obviously his in-season 3-point numbers compared to his combine numbers. Like, he's not someone who's, like, dense in the head like Aiton and, like, refuses to improve, in my opinion.
I see your point. Very valid. I still don't see longevity at all. It's just not going to happen.
yeah.
But and you're also comparing the college game to NBA. Very different. Very contrasting styles to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, you'll have maybe, 4 nights a month where you're up against another big. But he's going to be guarding perimeter players a lot of the time. He didn't have to do that in college.
All right.
The rules are different. Is there a defensive 3 seconds?
But
No.
let me
in the middle.
hold on.
Yeah.
You're saying all of this, but let me give you the combine numbers, right?
Yeah.
And then you make a decision on whether or not he'll be able to keep up with NBA players,
Yeah.
right? 3/4 court sprint. He did a 3.53 seconds. That's faster than DeMarcus Cousins, Brook Lopez, Rudy Gobert, Kelly Olynyk, Boban Marjanovic, and Luka Garza, right? Then Zach's lane agility time of 11.37 seconds is faster than Rudy Gobert, Shabazz Napier, Chris Middleton.
That's crazy.
It's on par with Kawhi Leonard, and it's faster than Luka Garza. Then his vertical is 29.5 inches. Obviously, he doesn't jump very high.
But
doesn't
who
need
needs
He doesn't. He really doesn't need to. But it's in line with. It's more than Taco Fall, Boban, and Luka Garza. It's equal with Luka Garza, who's 6'11" or 6'10". So the guy moves very well. You see it in college that he moves very well for a guy his size.
Yeah.
I just think he's a unicorn for someone who's been his size. I don't think you can compare it to any.
Throw that as unicorn.
Maybe
He's
unicorn's
not
not
wrong,
the right word, but for
He's
his
not a unicorn.
weight,
There's 3 unicorns in the league, and that's it. Like, it doesn't go past.
No, but unicorn is a term that can be used for something that we've never seen in the league.
We've seen a big guy. Like, he's 7'4", but that's the only difference. He can't do anything. Wemby is a unicorn. We haven't seen that, right? Those that argue the bol thing, that's not true. Wemby is a unicorn.
Okay.
Porzingis, when he came in, that's a unicorn. KD, a unicorn, right? Someone 7'4" that's able to shoot like that, unicorn.
Okay, yeah.
Edey's not a unicorn.
Look, I agree that Edey is
You
not
can't
a
do that.
unicorn,
You
but
can't give
he
him
is
that.
he is different. Like, he
If
is
he's a unicorn, he's the number 1 pick in the world draft.
he's a player that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a big traditional big.
Who have we seen 7'4", 300 pounds who can move like
Oh,
just,
no,
just like a
100%.
big human? Just like if he was 6'11" and you just scaled him up and he moved the same, like
Yeah.
But you
Well,
can't give him
the
tag that he
physicals
can
is-
move. Yeah, okay, he had a great draft combine there. Give him a season of him moving, and then we'll talk. But, dude, you can do that. Can he back that up every single game and do that as their main guy? Like, this is not a...
he doesn't need to do that. He absolutely doesn't need to, like, just be Steven Adams. just set screens. Like that's the flaw. Like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He really doesn't need to do much. Like, and he could do that for 25 minutes because like
He's not going to play long.
he's not going to play
He's not
long.
gonna play long at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, at the 9th pick, he's there. He has so many positives. I think you're going to take a shot at him,
I think
regardless
he'll
of
take
the
a shot.
longevity.
No.
Regardless of the longevity, and I think considering all the points that Nas put forward, they're all true. But if he's there, if you're the Grizzlies, you can't just be like, oh, he's not gonna last that long. You know,
I'm
and,
not.
like,
I'm,
you
I'm
gotta trust your
thinking-
medical staff.
I'm thinking from a Grizzlies point of view. Hey, we're going to be in the playoffs next year.
Hmm.
Hey, do we have a guy that can get minutes in there?
Well, think about it. You're gonna go up against like Cat, Rudy Gobert, Chet. What's the fucking guy?
I don't think you play him with
Jokic.
Jokic. That's what I was like. I blanked on him.
But you
Jokic.
would switch him out.
Every team needs a 7-footer that can go.
Yeah.
Straight up. And like you said, Jaren Jackson, proven in the playoffs, he's not that guy.
Can't do it.
He's not
Cannot
that guy.
play 5.
They got rid of Steven
Terrible,
Adams.
like-
Who is their guy?
No,
You
like,
get one of the biggest human beings in the draft at 9th. You got to take the shot. That is a good.
And they needed a center so desperately.
Yeah.
And I think, we'll see.
they also have Brandon Clark coming back from.
I think you can sign that center quite easily, or trade that.
Well,
quite easily.
who's available right
yeah,
now?
who's
You
your
got-
Jokic stopper? You know, like.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
you need a big body.
He's a Jokic stopper now.
Oh, sorry, not Jokic stopper, but
He's not
no, but you
stopping-
got but you have to think about that in the West.
Yeah,
Like David
like-
said, like you got to think about someone who's going to guard all
the
these
league,
players.
the
I
league
feel-
is moving towards very skilled 7.
I feel like with the I was gonna just literally bring that up. Like we've gone back to the basket centers are of value again. Like you need someone who's able to move.
defensive centers are in W. Back to the basket centers are not in.
No, like you need someone who's able to move at that low post spot to get into space and score.
I mean,
You have guys like Joel Embiid, Jokic, Bam, Chet, guys who can move in that spot. And his physical has shown that he can move. His
Dude, every-
college career has shown that he can move.
sorry, every single one of those guys can hit a 3 and is a danger to hit a 3.
Yeah,
Everyone that look back to the basket centers that are just back to the basket centers aren't worth a whole lot, right? If they're defensively, sure, right? But like, no one's giving first round picks to Valanciunas. Like, I mean, that's not required at the moment. Like, Valanciunas went up against Chet, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's not a fair matchup." They didn't even give a crap that he was scoring, because the other end he got burnt every time. You don't think he's gonna get hunted in the playoffs? You don't think if he became a main, why do you get rid of Steven Adams? Right? If you don't think he fits,
Steven
He had
Adams
two
had a pretty-
catastrophic injuries.
Yeah.
It was like.
it's catastrophic injuries, getting old. Like get a younger version with more potential.
Yeah.
Like
I think they have the roster to fit around Zach Edey to kind of
That's the
compensate
thing,
for that.
yeah.
Jaren Jackson.
Jaren Jackson as an off-ball defender, that's exactly what you want him.
Yeah.
Like, it's what you want
Yeah.
him doing. And
you still haven't even brought up the best player and see if it could fit with him. Jar's your
we
player.
did say
I don't
Jar
think he
like
fit
pick
Jar.
and roll with
he's got
with
good
him,
enough
Jar.
hands to do it. He can make it work.
Make any catch. He's got to crash the offensive board when Jar misses.
And
Yeah.
you give Jar a target that big to throw it at, like
Yeah, probably.
he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And Edie has a catch in the post one dribble hook.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's very effective. Like for a 7'4" guy, he knows how to use his body to get an open look. Like I don't know. I spent a lot on this topic.
I don't think
It's a heated
I
topic.
don't think it's horrible considering I don't really rate this draft as much as you guys do.
Mm.
So fair enough, take a punt on the biggest dude. If he pans out, cool. I'm beyond sure that he's going to pan out.
You're
look,
skeptical.
It is also a very low risk draft.
Yeah.
That's
Low risk. I
think
agree with that.
Low
I agree
risk,
with that.
really high yield if it works out.
Yeah.
Like you might be able to make a better playoff push, putting Jaren Jackson in that weak side in that
I mean,
off-ball
look,
defensive role.
End of the day, that is where they will go in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, you're not telling me right now that any center is going to be played next to Jaren Jackson in the playoffs. Their best 5 is going to be shooters, speed, and Jaren 5.
No.
How not? Unless
Because
you're up
Jaren
against...
can't grab rebounds for the life of him.
Okay, fair
Like
enough.
Jaren has games where he gets one to two rebounds.
Yeah.
You look at that in the box score at the end of the game, you're like, what was this guy doing? You just can't. You
Yeah.
cannot play the guy at the 5. It's not his best position. You keep him out on the perimeter. You have him as a help defender. And look, it's easy to say, but literally Memphis were the first seed with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson playing 4. Like there's your formula right there. Just repeat that. Like Desmond Bain is better now.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
don't think the formula can be
Like-
repeated. No one saw it coming.
Okay, well, fucking trade for it. Like, fuck. Move ED then.
Something.
Yeah, whatever. Like,
He has value. He has lots of value with his pick.
Anyway.
Anyways,
Like,
let's move on.
move on.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go. So, I think that wraps up winners.
Yeah.
Let's go to losers. We've got a whole lot of different stuff. The only two teams that we've got that we can agree on, or at least 2 and 2. Two of us have the Hawks as losers. I've got them and Denal has them. Let's quickly touch on them. We had touched on them already.
Yeah.
Main point why they're a loser.
Really quick, just I think Ricochet is going to be a bust. Not in the same sense of this guy's going to be out of the league in 5 years, but more so like you're just picking a lengthy forward who can shoot threes and shoot at 40%. Where for the first pick, you need to be picking someone who can be a stud and anchor of a franchise player, or you envision him being a franchise player. Do I ever see Ricochet, being a franchise player? I think it's just really hard to see that. Like I just think the guy's ceiling is like a French Franz Wagner, but who's a bit more spot on and a better help defender, because apparently he's getting that Jaren Jackson comparison because he is a good off the ball help defender. Look, if he ends up being Jaren Jackson, that's still not a cornerstone franchise guy. That's why I just think Sarr was better, because Sarr can be that. There's no saying he will be, and obviously we've spoken that this draft has no surefire guy, but I think Sarr just had that potential to be, cornerstone.
I completely agree. Just to add to that quickly, I mean, we at the table last week believed that they couldn't take a guard because they had their backcourt set up. If they were so entrenched on sending one of those guards out, why didn't they look at a couple other guys like Shepard and Castle, who, at least you know what you're getting in those two, right? They might look. It's hard in this draft, like we've already outlined, to figure out who's the guy that's going to be the star. But Ricochet, it's a complete unknown without the upside, in my opinion. Whereas you could have taken the guy that you know what you're getting, solid defense or solid shooter, could have gone with your team. I'm more than confused how they handled it. I honestly thought they should have traded it. Maybe there wasn't a market for it, but what they've done proved they have no real direction. They're not going to be at the bottom. They're going to be Chicago.
They also have 3 wings right now that are in the rotation. Then you're drafting another one with your first pick. It's I had them going. I had Ricochet going first, only purely because I saw the reports coming out that the buzz were coming out, and again they were drafting probably for fit if they're planning to go for. If they're not planning to rebuild, they can't rebuild.
That's another thing with the Hawks. They can't rebuild.
Chicago's at top. That's you're looking at 10th.
But now they're in this weird abyss of we're a semi-rebuild now.
That's why I didn't put them as losers. I'm quite intrigued to see what moves they make in the off season and what they plan to do going forward. Because I don't know, it's not losers to me where that's it makes no sense why they drafted that. I see the fit. I see how the other pieces they picked up in this draft, like Nikola Djurovic, might work with what they might have coming up, but it is a little bit of a weird one where that semi-rebuild, they didn't really move the needle necessarily. They still have missing players in the point guard position.
As NBA fans, though, you can agree, mediocrity, you are the biggest loser. You'd rather have a direction. You'd rather be the worst, or you'd rather be up the top. Mediocrity, it doesn't do anything for fans. It doesn't do anything for anyone. No one's excited by your team. They're the most lukewarm team in the NBA. Are you going to tune in?
No, true.
No, I will be. I mean, it's the first pick. You always want to see that. But also, it depends how good Ricochet is from the jump. Because, I guess if you think about it fit-wise along with Jalen Johnson, I think you needed some of the space with Jalen Johnson not being the most amazing shooter. He can shoot it. He's okay. And he's taken a massive step. I actually really like Jalen Johnson. But I think, I guess Ricochet fits with him. So, look, maybe the Hawks starting lineup might be okay to watch, but the rest,
I think he won't fulfill the expectations of a typical number one pick.
He's an 18-year-old and he's raw. He's so raw for a first pick. So.
Just on the Hawks, throw in the AJ Griffin trade as well.
That was random.
Promising young talent, flipped him off for nothing.
That's crazy.
I really saw some background stuff with him.
I think there's something happening behind the scenes.
Potentially, attitude could be something like that. But still, I mean, if you can't keep the peace and these guys are on their way out.
I mean, people liked AJ Griffin. I liked AJ Griffin. He seemed like a promising player who would become something, but, in a random Sabian we trust.
Let's move on. So we got David and Daniel.
Yes.
Tell us why the Bucks are losers.
I cannot... I I'm just baffled why they drafted AJ Johnson as their, I think it was 23rd pick. Straight up, Bucks is in win now mode. You can't convince me otherwise that they're not in a win now mode. They made the big splashes trade for Damian Lillard last season. He gave up Drew Holiday, rest in peace, for the Bucks. Drafting AJ Johnson, who is someone who averaged, I think, 2 points and like 8 minutes in the Illawarra Hawks in the NBL. It's just, I don't understand. And they haven't shown to develop these like kind of fringe guys, you know, like Martin Beauchamp's still on the bench, you know, like players like that. They haven't had a good record of developing these prospects to then contribute on the side. And trust me, Doc Rivers is not a developmental coach. I don't think
he was getting credited for like the Shea and the Tyrese Maxey stuff. Like, get out of here, man. Like, they would have been that before. Before you get earlier, if anything.
The Bucks proved that when they moved DiVincenzo.
Yes, exactly.
They let him go.
Yeah, they let him go. They just traded him away.
Oh man.
And yeah, like look, you're in win now mode. You draft this guy who's very clearly a project, who's only really shown flashes of really what he can be in a sorry to say that. I mean, quite obvious, a lesser league in Australia. I don't know why they did that, especially if Terrence Shannon Jr. was still on the board. He's a great shot creator, has decent perimeter defense. Probably someone you could probably just chuck in there next to Antetokounmpo.
I mean, you had guys like Filipowski still there. Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously there was a drama with Filipowski behind the scenes, but a replacement for Brook Lopez as a more ball
that route, but I think you would have gone the USC point guard route.
Exactly. There's so many picks above. What's his name? AJ Johnson. That
I'll say this. I don't know a whole lot. This is just what I know. The Hawks did go through a coaching change last year. The original coach did not favour him too much at the start. Jason Tatum's dad is the coach of the NBL Hawks team.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he took over. They went on a massive run. AJ was a big part of that down the stretch. He is a streaky scorer. High release, really athletic. Not a big build. Very lean.
I saw on like one of the reports that he showed potential of being quite a good scorer.
Yes,
but again, it was a small sample size.
Look, the Bucks here are probably expecting a pocket rocket that can light it up for maybe 3-4 minutes in a game, right? Again, they're in the Minnesota path where they had to swing for someone in the draft because they're not going to get better any other way.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think Middleton's warranting these trades. Lopez is sort of down the stretch, down the line now. Like they needed someone.
Yeah.
They tried to do the Dillingham thing. They probably didn't strike on it as well, but I mean,
like I wrote down like it doesn't drafting AJ Johnson doesn't really sort out the defensive issues they had with Lillard at the point guard.
No,
like you're just having someone else sub out with defensive issues to continue it, and it would have made sense to draft a more defensive-minded point guard like Isaiah Collier instead. Yeah.
And I mean, sorry, but I just wanted to say they also had another pick later on. I don't think anyone else was really looking at AJ Johnson at the 23rd pick.
That's the thing. There's reports that they fell in love with him and they wanted to take him earlier so that they wouldn't lose the chance to trade him at like 30, get him at 33 or 34, wherever they got.
I mean, he got invited to the first round. So
but apparently he showed out on the draft day. Sorry,
Combine?
The Combine.
Yeah,
he showed out at the Combine. He was one of the best players on one of the days of the Combine.
Oh, okay.
So like, I don't think they view him as a come in and contribute now player though, because he doesn't have the frame. I don't think he's not an NBA ready body. So I think, like, I guess the only thing is like they fell in love with him and maybe they think of him as something in the future, but the Bucks are win now.
They win now.
They'll win now. I mean, it also makes sense to draft someone without like you don't have to play them. Like maybe that they have something figured out and they just need someone who might be able to step up when the time comes. I don't know.
I don't think they're losers to a certain degree. Yeah, they probably didn't make the best pick, but like again, man, whoever you picked.
Yeah,
Doc's not playing him.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah,
it doesn't really matter. Like I mean, unless you had a top 4 pick, I don't think Doc's playing anyone.
I actually like their second rounder. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, he's actually good. Yeah,
he played on the G League Ignite. Yeah. He had a really nice. He has a very nice jumper. Very pretty lefty stroke and a willing shooter from three. Apparently he sucks on defense. I didn't watch many G League Ignite games, but I was watching highlights and I could see him in every Ron Holland clip just getting a kick out and shooting it lefty.
Nice.
I was like, ooh, that guy's got a nice jumper and he's big. He's 6'9". So who knows? Like they needed kick out shooters. And who knows if that guy, plays okay and gets some minutes.
The saddest part about the whole thing is both of those two guys that we mentioned probably play less than us.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got Achilles tail or something now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
He's podcasting. So
Opens up the floor for them.
I don't know. I mean, the other joint sort of loser that we had was the Pistons.
Oh yeah.
Myself and Daniel both believe.
Yeah.
They were losers. I'll quickly touch on it. I don't think they were. Like they picked on talent, right? I like Holland.
Yeah.
I just would have loved him on any other team in the top 10.
Yeah, oh my goodness, literally.
It makes absolute no sense. You have no shooters at all. You don't. The only shooter you have on this roster is now Tim Hardaway Jr.
I mean,
Duran's numbers are going to be terrific in fantasy next year. I'm looking forward to that. All the bricks that he's going to catch, but. Why? What made you go for it?
Right? I don't understand it. Like, I've been rating all my winners and losers, and I put it as like an F-. It was like I just don't understand the direction really.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fit. It's wasting talent. It's just my goodness. Like I want to know what went through their mind. Like the discussion room about it.
I like the pick based on talent because I think Ron Holland, in my opinion, has the highest ceiling in the entire draft.
Really?
Maybe alongside Klingon, Sar's somewhere near there as well.
Yeah.
But I think he has the absolute highest ceiling because my comp to him and his true ceiling to me is Anthony Edwards. Maybe without the characteristics or personality that Anthony Edwards has, but like true raw athleticism, two-way wing who's a downright scorer. Shot a similar percentage. Anthony Edwards shot 30% coming out of Georgia. This guy's shooting 30% as well. But he's just a dog. Like he's crazy. Like he's a super athletic wing. I think they fell in love with him clearly because they picked him earlier than he was going to go. But
it's hard to say it was earlier because I believe he went earlier, but a lot of guys, some guys had him number one in their draft.
Yeah,
like he was
really.
Yeah,
early mocks in the year had him going 1 and 2.
You know what though? That's what talent does. Like,
but he's insane. His ceiling is insane. Like
my question to you is, he's more of like ideally in a perfect world, you're playing him at the 2,
nah,
or the 3.
I think you play him at 3.
At 6'6".
At 6'6",
At
is he not more of a 2?
but yeah.
Well, I think on the Pistons he's a 3. That's the issue.
But that's
That's
where I'm
the-
already
yeah,
annoyed.
exactly.
Yeah. Like you picked
I think they need to move Ivy. I hate Ivy.
So did Monty, and they fired him.
But like, you just can't have like Cade and Ivy together.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. They need to move one of them.
And you got to keep Cade because Cade is way more promising.
Yeah.
Holland's crazy. Like, I think.
Look, I would love a Kane Holland backcourt.
I like it.
We're also forgetting a man.
Yeah.
I was just gonna bring up, like, you already have one of the Thompson twins there
Yeah.
who has shown promise. He has,
Amazing.
he's hard worker, great ball hand,
Like it's
defensive, like shuts down anyone who's on him. Like I had him on fantasy. He had a week where he got 3 blocks, like average 3 blocks.
Yeah.
He was insane.
But we talked about this. The 3 guard rotation, ball dominant, no shooting, never works.
It never
Right.
works.
And I understand. Look, again,
Sar plays like a wing too.
He does, though.
defensive,
He is more of a wing.
You
Yeah.
can use him defensively.
But even on offense, like I
But
think
he's-
he's more of a
he's-
plunk corner. Like
no, but he's Ben Simmons in the corner.
Yeah.
He
Jump
can't
shot's
shoot that
whack,
ball.
yeah.
It's whack, but I can see it get better and be just below serviceable in terms of shooting, where you can't really leave him all the way out there.
Are you defending your worst loser's pick?
No. I'm saying Asar Thompson.
Yeah,
So he can do that, but it's just again, it's unnecessary to have a complete not complete non-shooter, but another non-shooter on a team that needs a shooter.
Then you're backtracking on.
No, I'm not backtracking. I'm just saying, when were all the other shooters picked?
I just think I also don't like it for the Pistons because now you have all these mouths to feed at guard, and it's like, what do you want to do? I only played 25 minutes last season, You obviously want to scale that up. He's obviously a great talent.
I mean, look, you got to discount the tanking role from coach. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't want the job.
That's it.
He wanted it out. So
But you know,
it depends on what they do. But you're right. Like again, I don't know how their minutes go up in their, fit.
yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know how anything's going to scale up for that
Yeah.
team.
No.
It's just going to be too many months.
It's just confusing.
It's confusing. I think they roll things out, see who works best, and move the rest, or move what isn't.
He hasn't been good at moving, and that's been the issue.
Yeah.
They don't get talent or assets back.
No one wants to go to Detroit as well.
That's
an outfit.
It's so trash.
Yeah.
Watching the last season was just so depressing. Like,
It was so bad,
Yeah.
except for that one Celtics game.
That's what I was
That one Celtics game where they were up like 30 at the half or something.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
yeah.
Then they end up losing that.
They did.
Yeah, they lost about
Yeah.
1 point. Yeah.
They're like, look, we're doing too well.
To sum up the Pistons, I just feel for Cade. more
Yeah,
than
I
anything.
know, man.
Yeah.
I just think the guy needs shooters
Yeah.
around it,
Yeah.
and they're doing the exact opposite.
He's so talented. Like,
Yeah.
it's so sad seeing that talent actually just get wasted in a team that's just beyond salvaging. And like, I just want to see him get moved some way or another. You know,
I think they need a spacing four.
Definitely.
This is
Yeah.
why I want
I mean,
Dalton
yeah.
there. Dalton needed to go there.
isn't Bagley still there?
No.
No, he's,
Oh,
he's a
Wizard.
Oh, it's a wizard.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
He's
He's
gonna
gonna
roll
spacing
on that
four.
bench now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Now we'll just throw it to the floor now. You guys, give me a loser because everyone's got a different take. So
I want to very quickly say my one. I think Reed Shepherd going to the Rockets. Reed Shepherd himself is a bit of a loser here,
Yeah.
and I think us as NBA fans
We're not taking a hit at you, Reed. We're saying this in the draft.
in the draft,
You're not losing.
we would have loved to have seen you on a team where you were getting opportunity. I would have loved him, to potentially be in a starting lineup. Whereas in the Rockets, just don't think that's going to be possible for a year or two. Which, I just would have loved to see Reed Shepherd somewhere else. So I think he himself, unfortunately, is a bit of a loser to start his career.
counterpoint, is that a bad thing? 2 years of Sheldon, game time. Like he'll get minutes.
He will
Like,
get
won't
minutes, yeah.
massive. He'll be brought on slowly, and you've seen the Rockets. They're not a big fan of Jalen Green. I don't see him getting a massive extension.
Well, I think they're more of a fan of him than they are Şengün because they're shopping Şengün. So
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe that.
Oh,
It was for
Yeah,
KD. It was
It
for
was for
KD.
the KD
It was for
room, and I
KD.
don't think Phoenix wants
But then-
Jalen Green back. That's probably what was happening.
Phoenix gets Jalen
Yeah.
Green back.
Yeah.
They didn't want Jalen Green.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they can't throw.
Yeah, exactly.
Their biggest
Yeah,
asset to
makes
Green
sense,
is
yeah.
Sengun.
Can you imagine Jalen Green, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker on the same team?
There you go.
But then,
I don't think
the Rockets' willingness to shop Şengün was also concerning because you'd think I would have thought that Şengün was the most untouchable person on that team.
I don't know if you believe a lot of this stuff too. Like they are rumors,
No, I believe it. I believe it because we spoke about it a bit on the last pod, but they have a crossroads where they needed to pick because the team was better without one of them.
That's
yeah.
So it's like
They got small sample sizes of both, and they're both positive.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's weird to pick Şengün as the one to go there.
yeah, it
There's a
is.
bit of, I believe there's a bit of, I would say racism, but they don't like the European side of him. Because I told you at the start of the last season when it came to fantasy, not this past season, but the season before, he wasn't getting a ton of minutes.
None.
Yeah. Like, they didn't like the way he played. They didn't want to center it around him. He sort of forced his way into that spot and was like, I'm a great player. We got to play around me. So when he went out, I'm not surprised that they're all jumping on the bandwagon now. Like, oh yeah, Jalen Green's great. Let's run through him. So
Yeah. I wonder how Emeka Udoka feels about that because he was very high on Sengun. He was the reason why Sengun was able to get that centerpiece role.
it's more just the other.
That,
mates have to buy into Sengun, and it's like again, it's
And look, Jalen Green is good when he's efficient.
yes.
And the problem is he's streaky.
Dude, he's
If
so.
he figures it out,
I don't
But
think it's
like,
the worst.
think about it. He's like 4 years in now. Like he should have figured it out by now. It's quite. I had him in my fantasy team. Oh my
it's the most
god!
depressing
Did
thing
I
in the
just
world.
want to just trade him every single week? He'll give me absolute dookie performances
I
of
wanna
2
say-
fantasy points.
I want to say Daniel was willing to trade me Jalen Green for Dario Saric at a point.
Oh,
And, dude, it was literally the only reason I didn't do that was because Sengun got injured in the same week.
No,
and
I was just like, Daniel, I'm fleecing you. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah,
the league
dude.
would have allowed that.
Dude, oh goodness, but he was giving me negative performances and never breaking more than double digits on fantasy points. But
Anyway.
in saying that, I think like Jalen Green needs to get a revised role where he's not a starter.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what
yeah.
we're more Shepherds. I think it's pick your poison there.
But it might make room for Shepard though if he moves out of the starting lineup into a 6-man role.
Yeah,
Shepard gets that starting.
I don't see
There's no
Shepard
way.
playing next to Fred VanVleet. They're too small.
but Fred's only got a year left.
Amen and Shepard.
True,
I think
yeah.
that's the future for them.
Yeah.
Amen really showed out at the end of last season.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so mad you picked him up. I was literally about to pick him
Yeah,
up.
it was-
Yeah.
It was solid.
Yeah, because I was going to pick him up and take Ozar out because he fell out of the rotation a little bit. But
Let's go
David,
with the loser.
Daniel, you got David or Daniel? One of you.
You can go.
I had Johnny Furphy as a loser. I'm so shocked that he went so far down. He didn't get drafted in the first round. Like, he was such a great complementary piece to so many other teams in the sense that he's such a great off-ball threat. He knows how to crack. He has a crazy motor. He crashes the offensive board all the time. He can shoot it. He knows what he's such a great cutter. Like the whole between the first and second round, I was watching Johnny Furphy highlights. I'm like, this guy makes the best cutting reads. Like he cuts right as the defender looks away, and it's like instant bucket. I'm just really surprised he went he didn't get drafted.
I can't say too much.
Yeah.
I would say just again, it's a blurry of role players around the same skill set. You're nitpicking at differentiations between them. Again, it goes to fit, and I don't think a lot of these teams would have been able to work out with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
So once they sort of start to go up or go down, they're only going to pick the guys they worked out with. So
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he has really good size as well. He's 6'9", 6'11"
big.
wingspan, I think. Like pretty heavy for his age. He's the youngest kid in the draft, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
he
think-
looks like
He looks like a baby.
pre-pubescent Australian boy.
he reclassified to be in this year of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The win that I see for Furphy is the fit for him on the pace.
yeah.
Because I think they play with pace,
Yeah.
and he will fit that offense. Carlisle will have some fun with him.
He's really not a loser. Like he did go to the right situation. I'm just sad that this little cute tiny baby face had to sit through 3 hours of not getting drafted to just go
That's
back
probably
home.
why he didn't get drafted. He just looked like a 16-year-old off the street.
He actually does look so young. It's
So
it's
young,
crazy.
yeah.
Draymond's gonna punk him.
I'm going to quickly piggyback off that for my loser, my final loser. I believe the NBA trying to turn the draft into an NFL draft really failed miserably.
Oh yeah.
Was not a big fan of round 1 and round 2 being in 2 different days, 2 different venues. Obviously, the stories of Furphy and Filipkowski, who sat there for three and a half hours, I believe, got interviewed at the start. Photos of the family sat there for 3 hours, only to find out that they have to go home, go to a completely different location tomorrow to get.
Put the same suit on.
Same suit on, same Instagram
Yeah,
story.
ruined the entire flow of it.
Does that mean if you're in the 20 to 30 draft range, you got to plan for 2 suits?
Yeah.
Well, there were certain guys that got picked that couldn't be on the stage because they thought they were going round 2 and they weren't going to come both.
That's
ways.
crazy. Yeah.
Right? So, again, we don't care about round 2 as much as other sports. Right? It's really a novelty.
Yeah,
But
it
in
is a
recent
novelty.
years, it has shown some.
There's
Yeah.
potential, but one venue.
They just
Yeah,
didn't-
just do it.
they
One
just
venue,
didn't-
all in one go.
They just didn't want Bronny James being picked at 1 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
Oh, maybe.
They'll revert it back somehow.
Yeah.
I also think it was. They thought more eyes were going to be on it.
Yeah.
Bronny, where does he
Yeah.
go? I mean, that's why most novice fans would have
Yeah.
tuned in for that.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense to have it
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah, we don't have
Okay.
enough players getting drafted to have it separated.
Anyways,
Yeah.
you got one? Or?
Well, I think I want to piggyback off your point. That
Yeah.
you piggyback off Daniel's. You brought up Filipowski.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had him as my loser.
Yeah.
He's
Not because he got drafted in a bad
Yeah,
position.
you hate Mormons, don't you?
Yeah. For the purpose of the pod, I love all
races,
all races and religion. Big fans.
Big fans.
Yeah.
No one.
Big fans. But I think he was a loser only because I think his story got leaked out. Some things are private that I would hope would never have to come out. But all eyes are kind of on him and his relationship with his family, and what
Lack of relationship.
lack of relationship with
It's
his family
crazy how
and his
that
girlfriend.
changed every day.
Yeah, and I think that probably was one of the big reasons why he slid down to Utah, which is also happens to be a Mormon state. So,
Yeah, big Mormon state.
yeah, I guess he's got his niche of fans over there. Utah's going to be selling tickets for sure.
Big,
but yeah,
big
no, I
jersey
think
sales.
I think he's a bit of a loser in that sense, and you know,
Just call the guy a loser.
a draft loser. Again,
Love
no, all love.
all love.
If you ever watch this, Filipowski, all love.
We gotta get David that jersey.
We're on the pod. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's me.
You don't hear too many stories about something completely outside of basketball really affecting your draft stock. So you know,
It's definitely the first, I think. Like,
well, I mean, most guys that get affected by this kind of stuff is they've got like a criminal record.
Yeah, a criminal record.
Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like, It's not because your partner is psycho.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think what's crazy is the amount of corroborating like stories that came out with it. That I think that's what really made it.
Well,
like,
teammates
really
came out.
teammates, and I think coaching stuff came out.
Yes,
Yeah.
true.
Coaching stuff came out about
Yeah,
it.
I've
Like,
not heard any of this. Like, I knew there was stuff going on, but
Yeah.
like I didn't know there's like stories out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do some research.
Talent-wise, he wasn't far off the main centers.
Yeah,
went.
he's-
Yeah, he really wasn't. He's
Like Camille West, he wasn't too far off that. Like he could have been in that same sort of spot.
Yeah, 100%.
He did well in the March Madness period. Like he
Yeah.
was solid. So
7-footer, great floor spacer,
Yeah.
really good shooting numbers. Can handle the ball to navigate in
good passer out of the mid
yeah.
as well. So
Went to Duke.
Went to
Like,
Duke, like Duke.
He's faced pressure, you know.
Yeah. But you know,
yeah, that was me. I mean, look, that obviously we could talk about more.
Yeah,
losers.
I have a question though, Kamal, because I saw on your losers that you have Devin Carter on there.
Oh yeah.
Care to explain a little?
Oh
bit?
man, Devin Carter and Monica McNutt. I'm not a big fashion person, but man, like I know you want to dress up, but my god, did they miss the boat completely? Monica McNutt looking like a used tampon, red halfway and then black the rest. Disgusting. And then, dude, put a shirt on. Like, I don't sound like an old man, but you don't look good.
it's like a 70s. It looks like a hippie.
Yeah, he's greasy. He was real greasy.
Walking pedophile.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It was pretty bad. It was
a bad look.
Yeah, you're lucky you're gonna ball out in the NBA, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I hope so. You're going to Sacramento, so it's going to be tough. But like,
Speaking of
nothing is. That was up there with Ezekiel Elliott in the NFL draft when he wore the half shirt.
oh, right.
Like it was cut off. It looked like a freaking bra. Oh man, that was horrendous.
Speaking of fits, I liked Jerry McCain's fit. He had like a cropped suit.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
sick.
It
I
was
thought that was
clean.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, TikTok is gonna nail it.
Dude,
Yeah.
like Jerry McCain, I wonder what the NBA fans are gonna be like with him.
Have you seen the comment section?
No, I have not.
Nigga, you is gay. So much of it is, my guy, you are gay.
Dude, I won't be surprised if he came out like
Oh.
1 or 2 years in and just I'll be like, yeah, I knew it the moment you made everything you made.
Yeah.
You know.
The dances are a bit cringe.
Yeah,
Like,
so
you know,
cringe.
if it was like vlog content, like I could get behind it or
Yeah.
something, but it's just like TikTok
Man,
dances.
I feel like he's doing it ironically at this point. I don't know.
I think so, but also he's just like too flamboyant to like.
He's too into it.
I-
He's too into
I
it.
love
yeah.
his colored nails. I love that he paints his nails.
I like the story behind it too. Apparently, it's just like a superstition. He went for a manicure one time, played
Yeah,
a really good
yeah.
game, and now he just does it like every time.
Wow.
It was apparently the biggest NIL deal besides Bronny's Nike one, I think. Like,
Wow.
yeah, with his
yes.
nail polish ones.
Nail
It was
polish,
huge.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll take my nails for money.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's great, and it feeds into my superstition. Great.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway.
but yeah, like he's like you said, it's a bit too into it for me to be like, oh, it's ironic. Feeding on the hate. Oh, it comes to a certain point. Vlogging content is the new trend. Dancing videos are not trendy anymore on TikTok.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel as a teammate. That'd feel a bit weird with that.
I feel like when you get insight into what he's doing it for, maybe it makes it a little bit easier.
I wouldn't give a shit.
I want to quickly touch on Monica McNutt. Oh man, she's such a terrible host.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We didn't even get to her hosting.
She is
Oh.
such a just trash job. I remember like distinctly with Mattis Buzelis.
Yeah.
Comes off the stage, Chicago guy getting drafted in Chicago. He's so emotional. He's like, "Oh, how are you gonna talk smack? Like I heard you're a smack talker." This guy's like crying, and it's like I'm not going to talk smack. I'm just
Like,
reading
read the
stuff.
room,
He
man.
was just being humble. Like Monica not just
Bring
she
back-
screwed it up.
What was it? Rachel Mc.
Oh, Richard McNichols.
yeah.
Bring back Richard McNichols.
Bring it back.
She's at the
Jimmy,
end
Jimmy,
words.
bring it back.
Bro, Jimmy, man. We should have a podcast section on Jimmy's game.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
Oh, the off court.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, you seen Cameron Brink video?
Yeah. My man's working.
Oh, did you see
Yeah.
the recent Camilo Cabello? The like
Oh,
Spanish singer?
yeah. Like
yeah.
a section with her or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the whole comment section was like, sorry, so I'm glad I wasn't familiar with your game. It's great. Oh,
Cheers
man.
out here, man.
Um,
Should we wrap it up?
That wraps up the NBA draft. I think that wraps up the podcast. Or did you want to go touch on?
No, I think we should wrap it up. I think we're doing the best time wise. We've gone for quite some time. But look, thanks for tuning in. If you're still listening now,
Yeah.
thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Peace.